Welcome back guys to another video, race number 1. Let's get into it. So, just finished the Barcelona Grand Prix, well, a couple of hours earlier. Let's discuss like what went on today. There were so many things to talk about. Number 1, Max Verstappen. What is going on with Max Verstappen? Honestly, I love it. I think Max is one of the best drivers there's ever been, period. Max Verstappen is that special. However, his attitude sometimes when things don't go his way, it is appalling, right? Max goes on almost like a sore loser, which is really disappointing because his records and all of his achievements for being such a good driver is sometimes tarnished by his attitudes. And I get no one wants to lose, everyone always wants to win, and I get that that's the dog in him, but sometimes the way it comes across, it's kind of like a spoiled brat, kind of spoiled kid persona that comes off. Anyway, so it's quite disappointing with Max. Equally the team, the Red Bull team, like putting him on hards was going to put him under a lot of pressure from behind. I'm not sure if they had anything else, maybe even some used softs or used mediums. I think they would have been better than brand new hards, which obviously don't have that much elasticity to give you grip straight away. They're kind of like a durable, obviously that's why they're hard, so like the durable tyre. You guys already know that. But yeah, so disappointed with Max. I thought Max really done himself no favours this weekend and effectively gave up more points in the championship. So well done, Max. If that's what you wanted to do, then, you know, well done to you. Next disappointment, obviously Lewis Hamilton. Disappointing performance from Lewis Hamilton this weekend. Seen it time and time again this whole year. Literally, it's all Lewis has done is pretty much, obviously we talk about China, he had a good performance in China, but ever since then, he's underperformed. Granted, in qualifying, he did well, but did he do well? We're only saying he did well because he outqualified Charles Leclerc, but obviously Charles didn't have as many good clean tyres. So yeah, it was a good qualifying, but at the same time, he's let himself down. The car was obviously set up completely wrong because I don't think I've ever seen Lewis go backwards that quickly in a race. He's normally known for like race pace, racecraft, like that's Lewis's bread and butter. So granted, you can take his qualifying shenanigans and underperformance to one side because you know with Lewis he always delivers in a race, or his race pace is normally exceptionally strong. However, today it really wasn't. So that's disappointing, and you can see him in the post-race interviews. He's depleted. Like, I think one of the questions was, "How was that?" And he's like, "Yeah, it was awful." And I think it was Natalie. Natalie's gone back and she goes, "Well, I hope you find the answers you need. I hope the team can give you the answers you need and stuff." And he was like, "No, probably not. It's just me." But is this just the Lewis Hamilton decline that we've been seeing for ages? And perhaps he should have retired after Max got his first championship. I know it would have been bitter and disappointing, but it feels like ever since then he just hasn't been the same. He's whether it's confidence or performance or whether it's just these generation of cars he hasn't got on well with. Fingers crossed, as a Lewis Hamilton fan, fingers crossed that next year's cars suit him better. Now let's talk about McLaren. Everyone, and obviously myself included, I thought this technical directive was going to bunch up the grid and was going to make it more interesting. It was really going to hurt McLaren. In actual fact, it hasn't. To me, it didn't look like it hurt them at all. It looked like, in actual fact, it's probably hurt Mercedes more than anyone else because they seem to be the ones to struggle. But typical McLaren fashion, led from the front. Yeah, okay, I think Max may have got in front due to a pit stop or for taking an extra pit stop, but Oscar was in control from literally from the opening lap. And this is the difference between Lando and Oscar. Oscar, I really rate. I really, really rate Oscar. I think Oscar is the one that's going to win the championship. If I was a betting man, I'll put money on Oscar winning. I think Lando isn't yet at that, like, I wouldn't say maturity level, but I think he doubts himself too much. Oscar backs himself against anyone. So I think Oscar's going to win it this year. And I really hope he does because I think he's humble, he's not arrogant, he's very calm, a bit like the old Iceman. But yeah, he backs himself. He backs himself and he delivers. Most importantly, he delivers week in, week out. Charles Leclerc, he had a good performance, managed to pick up P3, obviously off the back of Max getting a 10th place. Well, he overtook Max, but then that led to obviously later on Max getting a 10-second penalty for his incident with George Russell. But yeah, Charles, solid performance from Charles, but Ferrari, it's just Ferrari. Like, if there's a plan A, there's a plan B. They'll always do like plan E just to just for the sake of it. That's just for not just in this race, just in general. Obviously, there was rumours this week about Fred Vasseur maybe stepping down and being replaced by Christian Horner. Part of me would have liked to have seen that. Part of me would have liked to have seen that. I feel like this year's car is, well, it's clearly no good compared to last year. I think last year's car was a lot better than this year's car, which is disappointing. But all in all, the Barcelona, guys, drop your comments below what you think. How would you rate it out of 10? I'm probably going to give it a strong 6.5. I'd say 6.5 out of 10 this weekend. Mainly for one or two reasons. One, it was relatively boring until obviously the safety car, and that was like with 6-7 laps to go. Max kind of made it a bit interesting doing 3 stops, but that's pretty much it. There wasn't really a lot to talk about. Fernando Alonso, being Fernando Alonso, he is the world's unluckiest driver, as he says. So yeah, him driving off the track is purely down to him just being unlucky. So that's all it is. And obviously disappointment for Kimi Antonelli doing a DNF today due to, it seemed like an engine failure. So will that come back to haunt McLaren? Obviously we saw, I think, was it last weekend? One of the Aston Martins had an engine failure. I think it was Fernando. Mercedes had an engine failure. I think in the beginning of or some point, definitely Williams have had an engine failure. So money's on McLaren going to get an engine failure at some point in the next couple of races. It feels like it could happen. Guys, drop your comments below. What do you think of the race? What do you rate it out of 10? Who was your driver of the day? And please don't say Max Verstappen, because, you know, he messed up there. Anyway, catch you later.